The Great Hall of the Galactic Council fell silent as the final presentation ended. 64 species from across the known universe had gathered to hear the results of a 100-year research project. The answer was clear. It could not be done. "The data is final," announced Chief Scientist Grell, his blue skin reflecting the soft light of the chamber. "A self-sustaining antimatter containment field large enough for starship travel is physically impossible." Grell touched a control panel, and a hologram appeared showing the twisted remains of test vessels. 12 major civilizations have attempted it. All have failed. The Morlexians lost an entire moon to their experiment. The Zentary's brightest minds worked for 3 centuries before declaring it unsolvable. The alien scientist's 3 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of finality in his culture. The Council now officially classifies this as an impossible technology. All species are advised to pursue alternative methods for faster-than-light travel. In the back of the hall, a human sat quietly. Captain Tom Reed of the Earth science vessel Curiosity made no comment as the aliens around him nodded in agreement. Earth had joined the Galactic Council only 15 years ago, making humans the newest and least advanced members. As the meeting ended, Tom approached Grell. "I'd like the complete research data for Earth scientists to study," Tom said. Grell's middle eye widened in surprise. "Captain Reed, did you misunderstand? The finest minds in the galaxy have proven this cannot be done." Tom shrugged. "Maybe. But we'd still like to take a look. Your species is interesting," Grell said, choosing his words carefully. "But Earth barely has orbital colonies. The Zentari were exploring the stars when your people were still using stone tools." "True," Tom said with a smile. "But humans are good at impossible things. It's kind of our specialty." Grell made a sound that his translator didn't convert, something between a laugh and a sigh. "Very well. I will send the data. But please, do not waste your planet's limited resources on this." 3 weeks later, Dr. Lisa Wilson sat in her office at the Global Science Foundation in Chicago, staring at her screen with growing excitement. Rain tapped against the windows as she worked through the night, surrounded by empty coffee cups. "This can't be right," she muttered, checking her calculations for the 5th time. But the numbers didn't change. The Galactic Council had approached the problem one way, the logical, proven way. But Lisa saw something in their data they had missed, something in the gaps. She picked up her phone and called her boss, despite it being 3 a.m. "Director Brown, I need to talk to you about the antimatter containment project." "Lisa, it's the middle of the night," her boss groaned. "I think they're wrong. All of them. They'd been looking at quantum stability from a single reference frame. If we use multiple overlapping fields, tuned slightly out of phase with each other." "Stop," Director Brown said. "Are you telling me you think you've solved a problem that the Morlexians couldn't? They invented quantum physics as we understand it." "Not solved. Not yet. But I see a path where they saw a wall." There was a long pause. "Write it up. If it makes sense in the morning, we'll talk." 2 months later, Lisa stood in a large conference room at the United Earth headquarters in Geneva. 20 of Earth's top scientists and government officials sat around the table, including Captain Tom Reed, who had brought the problem to Earth in the first place. "The aliens are right about one thing," Lisa explained, pointing to her diagrams. "A single antimatter containment field will always collapse at larger sizes. The energy requirements grow faster than the containment strength." She clicked to the next slide. "But what if we don't use one big field? What if we use many small fields working together, each one supporting the others?" "Like bricks in an arch," said Jack Miller, a practical-minded engineer from Australia. "Each one would be weak alone, but together they create something strong." "Exactly," Lisa said. "The aliens never tried this because it goes against their understanding of quantum field theory. They see fields as unified things. We can see them as building blocks." "Can we actually build this?" asked the United Earth president. Jack scratched his beard. "The materials would be tricky. We'd need parts from the aliens too. But yeah, I think we could make it work. The cost would be enormous, warned the Treasury Secretary. Tom stepped forward. Look, either we solve this, or we spend the next 1,000 years playing catch-up with the rest of the galaxy. They're not going to share their best technology with us. We need to show them we belong at the table. The president looked around the room. Dr. Wilson, how sure are you about this theory? Lisa took a deep breath. 80%. Maybe 75. Those aren't great odds. Better odds than anyone else has right now, Lisa replied. The president thought for a moment. Okay. You have 6 months and whatever resources you need. Make it happen. News traveled fast in the galaxy. When Ambassador Grell's ship entered Earth orbit 3 weeks later, he wasn't surprised to receive an invitation to visit the Antimatter Project headquarters in Antarctica. The facility had been built into the ice itself, using the natural cold to help with cooling the experimental equipment. Grell, wrapped in thermal garments despite his species' natural tolerance for cold, was met by Tom Reed at the entrance. Captain Reed, Grell greeted him. The Council is concerned about your project. We worry Earth is wasting valuable resources. Thanks for your concern, Tom said, leading him inside. But we think we're onto something. They walked through busy hallways where humans rushed about carrying equipment and checking data screens. Grell noticed something odd about the facility. Unlike the clean, organized laboratories of other advanced worlds, this place was almost chaotic. Whiteboards covered in equations stood next to high-tech alien components. People argued loudly in groups, drawing diagrams in the air. Here we are, Tom said, stopping at a large observation window. Beyond it, Lisa Wilson directed a team assembling what looked like a metal ring surrounded by smaller devices. Grell's 3 eyes blinked rapidly. That design makes no sense. To you, maybe, Tom said, but we think it will work. Lisa noticed them and came to the window. Ambassador Grell. Perfect timing. We're about to test our first miniature field. Dr. Wilson, Grell said politely, I've reviewed your theory. It violates 3 fundamental principles of quantum mechanics. Lisa smiled. Maybe your version of quantum mechanics needs updating. That's, Grell searched for the word, arrogant. Maybe, Lisa admitted. Or maybe we just see things differently. Would you like to watch the test? Grell hesitated, then nodded. I would be interested to observe. As they moved toward the test chamber, Grell added quietly to Tom, You know, I've studied your species' history. You have accomplished remarkable things for such a young civilization. But some things truly are impossible, Captain Reed. Tom smiled. That's what they told the Wright brothers about flying, and Bell about the telephone, and Einstein about bending space. Being told something is impossible has never stopped humans before. An interesting perspective, Grell said. We shall see if it is enough. The test chamber hummed with energy as Lisa Wilson's team made final adjustments to their prototype. Through the thick glass of the observation room, Ambassador Grell watched with 3-eyed focus. Captain Tom Reed stood beside him, trying not to show his nervousness. You're using Zenteri quantum stabilizers, Grell noted, pointing to several blue glowing devices. But you've modified them. We had to, Tom explained. They weren't designed to work the way we needed. Grell's upper eye narrowed. Those components cost more than this entire facility. They're precision instruments. And now they're better precision instruments, Tom said with a smile. Inside the chamber, Lisa spoke into her headset. Jack, are the field harmonizers balanced? Jack Miller, a stocky engineer with rough hands and sharp eyes, checked his readings. Close enough. They're within 3% variance. 3%. Grell whispered, horrified. Quantum equipment must be calibrated to 0.01%. Maybe for a single field, Tom said. But our system automatically corrects itself. The small errors actually help the fields adjust to each other. Grell made a sound that his translator didn't convert. Tom guessed it was alien for that's crazy. Lisa's voice came through the speakers. Beginning containment sequence in 30 seconds. All personnel clear the testing area. The technicians moved behind shielded stations. Jack gave a thumbs up to Lisa through the internal window before taking his position at the main control panel. 20 seconds, Lisa announced. Tom noticed Grell backing away from the observation window. Problem, Ambassador. I've witnessed 7 antimatter containment failures in my lifetime, Grell said quietly. None of the witnesses survived in 3 of those cases. Tom swallowed hard but held his ground. We've got good safety protocols. 10 seconds. Lisa counted. 9, 8. The lights dimmed as power redirected to the test equipment. The central ring, a metal circle barely 1 meter across, began to glow with a pale blue light. 3, 2, 1. Initiating. Jack pressed a sequence of buttons. The ring flashed bright, then settled into a pulsing rhythm. Inside it, the air seemed to bend and twist. Alarms immediately blared. Red warning lights flashed throughout the facility. Grell jumped. Abort. You must abort now. But Lisa was smiling as she read her instruments. No, it's working. Those are just the safety warnings. The containment field is forming. In the center of the ring, a small sphere of absolute darkness appeared, floating in midair. It was no bigger than a marble, but it seemed to pull at the eye, like a hole in reality itself. Antimatter containment at 20% capacity, Jack reported, his voice tight with concentration. Field harmonizers adjusting. It's holding steady. Impossible, Grell whispered. The darkness in the ring pulsed, growing slightly larger. The ring itself vibrated, and strange patterns of light played across its surface. Containment at 40%, Jack called. 50, 60. One of the smaller devices attached to the ring suddenly sparked. A technician rushed forward with a fire extinguisher, putting out the small flame while carefully staying behind his shield. We've lost Harmonizer 3, Lisa said. Jack, compensate with 1 and 5. Jack's fingers flew over his controls. Compensating. Field stability at 78%. That's in the safe zone, Lisa announced. Continuing the test. Grell turned to Tom. This isn't proper scientific procedure. You can't just make adjustments on the fly. Why not? Tom asked. It's working. But your safety margins, your protocols. We trust our people to think on their feet, Tom said. Sometimes you have to adapt. Inside the chamber, the dark sphere grew to the size of a baseball. It hovered in the center of the ring, perfectly contained by the strange, pulsing fields around it. Full antimatter containment achieved, Lisa announced, and for the first time, her voice showed excitement. Starting stability timer now. The room fell silent except for the hum of equipment. Seconds ticked by. Then minutes. 5 minutes of stable containment, Jack finally announced. That's longer than any recorded attempt in the Council database. Lisa turned to the observation window, her face flushed with triumph. We did it. Phase 1 successful. The team erupted in cheers. Some people hugged, others high-fived. Jack slumped in his chair, exhausted but grinning. Tom turned to Grell. Well, Ambassador, still impossible. Grell's 3 eyes blinked in different rhythms, a sign of deep confusion in his species. I don't understand how you did this. Let's shut it down properly, Lisa called, bringing her team back to focus. Controlled deactivation sequence. The dark sphere slowly shrank until it vanished. The ring's glow faded, and the normal lights came back on in the facility. Later that evening, the team gathered in the facility's cafeteria. The mood was celebratory, with people laughing and talking excitedly about next steps. Lisa sat with Tom and Grell at a corner table. I've sent the preliminary data to the Council, Grell said, his voice subdued. They're skeptical. Of course they are, Tom laughed. We just did what they said was impossible. They believe there must be an error in the measurements, Grell continued, or perhaps a different phenomenon at work. Lisa sipped her coffee. The data doesn't lie. We achieved stable antimatter containment using our multiple field approach. But your methods? Grell gestured around the room, where diagrams and equations were scrawled on napkins as the scientists continued working even during the celebration. This isn't how advanced research is conducted. Jack joined them, carrying a plate piled with food. How is advanced research conducted then? With precision, with careful planning and perfect execution. With proper procedures followed exactly, Grell explained. Not with guesswork and last-minute fixes and devices, held together with what you call duct tape. Jack grinned. Hey, don't knock duct tape. That stuff saves more lives than most medical inventions. The council wants to send a scientific delegation, Grell said, to verify your results. Lisa and Tom exchanged looks. We welcome them, Lisa said, but they should know. This was just phase 1. A small-scale test. Now we need to scale up. Scale up. Grell's middle eye widened. You can't. The energy requirements increase exponentially with size. Even if your method works for a small field, a ship-sized field would require a different approach. Lisa finished for him. We're not just going to make this bigger. We're going to make it smarter. Tom nodded. Phase 2 starts tomorrow. We're calling it Project Symphony. Symphony? Grell asked. It's a type of complex music on Earth, Tom explained. Many different instruments playing different parts, but working together to create something beautiful. Grell looked around at the humans, still celebrating their victory, already planning their next impossible step. You know, he said slowly, I studied 1,000 species across the galaxy, but I've never encountered any quite like humans. Is that a compliment? Jack asked with his mouth full. I'm not entirely sure, Grell admitted, but I think I'd like to see what you do next. Lisa smiled. Good, because we're just getting started. 2 weeks after the successful first test, the Antarctic facility was crowded with visitors. 7 alien scientists from the Galactic Council had arrived to verify the human achievement. They moved through the labs with careful steps, examining equipment and taking readings with their own devices. The leader of the alien delegation was Science Director Vorn, a tall, thin being with gray skin and 4 arms. He had personally overseen 3 failed antimatter projects and didn't bother hiding his doubt. Your small test proves little, Vorn told Lisa as they walked through the main lab. A containment field of that size has been achieved before, though never for more than a few seconds. We maintained it for 17 minutes before voluntary shutdown. Lisa reminded him. Yes, Vorn waved one of his 4 hands dismissively. But scaling up is where all other attempts have failed. The energy requirements become impossible. Lisa smiled. That's why we're not just scaling up. Come see Project Symphony. She led him to a new section of the facility. Inside a large circular room, Jack and his team were assembling what looked like dozens of smaller versions of their original device. Instead of one large ring, they were creating a sphere made of interconnected smaller rings. What is this approach? Vorn asked, genuine curiosity in his voice for the first time. Instead of creating one massive field, we're building a network of smaller fields designed to work together, Lisa explained. Each one is tuned to support the others. Jack looked up from his work. Like musicians in an orchestra, each plays their own part, but together they make something greater than any could alone. Vorn's expression showed confusion. Music is not a scientific principle. Maybe it should be, Jack said with a grin. Tom entered the room, followed by Grell and several other aliens. How's it going, Jack? We're on schedule. First symphony test tomorrow morning. Vorn turned to Grell. You seem to have developed a positive opinion of this project, Ambassador. Grell's 3 eyes blinked in sequence. I am merely observing, Director. But yes, I find their methods unexpectedly effective. Methods? Vorn gestured around the room. I see no proper methodology here. Their calculations are full of approximations. Their equipment is modified beyond recognition. I've even seen them using parts from their primitive Earth vehicles. The transmission from my first car makes a perfect housing for the field harmonizer, Jack said proudly. Nothing else had the right magnetic properties. Vorn looked horrified. You cannot build advanced technology with car parts. Why not? Tom asked. If it works, it works. The next morning, the test chamber was crowded. The alien delegation stood at the back of the observation room, their instruments ready to record the expected failure. Lisa, Jack, and their team made final preparations. Symphony containment test beginning in 2 minutes, Lisa announced. All personnel, please move to safety positions. Tom stood with Grell near the front window. Nervous? He asked the alien. Concerned, Grell replied. This test will use significantly more energy than the first, if containment fails. It won't, Tom said with more confidence than he felt. Inside the test chamber, the sphere of interconnected rings hummed to life. Each small ring began to glow with a different color. Blue, green, red, purple, creating a beautiful light show. Power at 30%, Jack called. Field harmonizers activating in sequence. The ring's lights pulsed in complex patterns, like waves passing through the structure. It looks like it's breathing, Grell whispered. Field network establishing, Lisa reported. First-level antimatter injection in 3, 2, 1. At the center of the sphere, darkness appeared. Not just one spot like before, but multiple small points throughout the structure, like stars in a tiny galaxy. Antimatter stabilizing, Jack called. Field strength at 60% and holding. For a moment, everything seemed perfect. Then one of the rings flickered. Harmonizer 7 is out of sync, a technician called. Field stability dropping. Compensate with sectors 3 and 12, Lisa ordered quickly. Jack's fingers flew over the controls. Trying, but the pattern is breaking down. Alarms began to sound. Several rings were now flickering dangerously. Abort the test, Vorn called from the back. Your containment is failing. Lisa ignored him, her eyes fixed on her readings. Jack switched to Beethoven protocol. Jack looked surprised. We haven't tested that yet. No choice. Do it now. Jack hesitated for only a second, then hit a sequence of commands. The pattern of lights changed completely. Instead of each ring glowing separately, waves of light flowed through the entire structure in a complex rhythm. What are they doing? Vorn demanded. Changing the music, Tom said quietly. The alarms slowly quieted. The flickering stopped. The dark points of antimatter merged and stabilized into a perfect sphere at the center. Field stability returning, Jack reported, surprise in his voice. 70%, 80, 90%. We're stable. The humans in the room cheered. Lisa walked to the observation window, her face showing exhaustion and triumph. The Beethoven protocol, Tom asked. Named after a human composer known for his complex symphonies, Lisa explained. We programmed it as a backup. It uses a completely different field pattern. More complex, but more stable. You had a backup plan that you never tested. Vorn pushed forward, his 4 arms gesturing wildly. That's completely irresponsible. That's human, Grell said quietly. They improvise. Full stability achieved, Jack announced. We are maintaining an antimatter containment field 10 times larger than any previously recorded, and it's holding perfectly. Vorn fell silent, his instruments recording data he couldn't deny. The other alien scientists clustered together, speaking rapidly in their own languages as their translators struggled to keep up. Congratulations, Grell said to Tom. Your team has accomplished something remarkable. Tom nodded. But this is still just a test. The real challenge comes next. What do you mean? This field is still too small for practical use in a starship. We need to go bigger. How much bigger? Grell asked. Tom smiled. We're building a ship. A small one, but enough to prove the concept. We're calling it the impossible. Grell's 3 eyes widened. You're going to attempt actual spaceflight with this technology. That's premature. The Council will never approve. We're not asking for approval, Tom said. Just witnesses. Across the room, Vorn was examining the data with growing amazement. This shouldn't work, he muttered. The theory doesn't support it. Maybe your theory needs updating, Lisa suggested, joining them. You realize what this means? Vorn asked, his scientific mind finally accepting the evidence. If this technology can be perfected, it would revolutionize interstellar travel. The power requirements would be reduced by factors of thousands. That's the idea, Lisa said. And we're just getting started. The Council must be informed immediately, Vorn declared. This changes everything. As the aliens huddled together, discussing the implications, Jack approached Tom and Lisa. They look worried, he observed. Of course they are, Tom said. We just rewrote the rules of the game. And they're not sure if that's good news or bad news for them. Lisa smiled. I think it's good news for everyone. But first, we need to build that ship. News spread quickly across Earth and throughout the galaxy. Humans had achieved what no other species could, a stable antimatter containment field large enough for practical use. The Galactic Council was in an uproar, with some members excited about the new technology and others deeply concerned about its implications. 3 months after the successful Symphony test, the project had moved to a new location, an old shipyard on the shores of Lake Michigan. The Antarctic facility had been too small for what they needed to build now. Tom Reed stood at the edge of the massive construction bay, watching as workers assembled the framework of what would become the impossible, humanity's first antimatter-powered spacecraft. The ship wasn't large, barely 30 meters long, but it represented the biggest leap in human technology since the discovery of fire. Impressive, isn't it? Lisa Wilson joined him, handing him a cup of coffee. Hard to believe we've come this far so quickly, Tom said. 6 months ago, this was just a crazy idea. 8 months, Lisa corrected. And it was your crazy idea, remember? Jack Miller approached, his clothes stained with grease, and his face tired but happy. Main framework is done. We're ready to install the Symphony core. The Symphony core was the heart of the ship, an advanced version of their containment field generator. It had taken weeks to perfect, with the team working day and night. Any word from the Council? Jack asked. Tom nodded. They're sending a full delegation to witness the first test. Some are calling for us to wait, to do more research before attempting a flight. Of course they are, Jack said with a laugh. They're still trying to understand how we did it. They want time to catch up. Can you blame them? Lisa asked. We've upset the balance of power in the galaxy. Earth went from being the new kid to having the most advanced propulsion system known. Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of a sleek silver shuttle. It landed smoothly on the pad outside the shipyard, and a group of aliens emerged. Right on time, Tom said. Let's welcome our guests. Ambassador Grell led the delegation, which included Science Director Vorn and representatives from 5 major galactic powers. As they entered the shipyard, their reactions varied from obvious amazement to carefully concealed concern. Captain Reed, Grell greeted Tom. The Council thanks you for your invitation to witness this historic moment. We wouldn't have it any other way, Tom replied. After all, we built on your research. Vorn snorted, a sound his translator didn't need to convert. You didn't build on it. You completely ignored it and did something else entirely. Same difference, Jack said with a grin. Lisa stepped forward. We've prepared a full briefing on the Symphony core and how it works. We're hiding nothing from the Council. Very generous, said a tall, green-skinned alien, the representative from the Zentari Empire, especially considering how protective most species are of their technological breakthroughs. Earth believes in cooperation, Tom said diplomatically, though he knew that wasn't the whole truth. The real reason for their openness was simpler. They knew no one else could replicate their technology even with the plans. The human approach was too different, too intuitive for the logical aliens to follow. When will the test flight occur? Vorn asked, his forearms gesturing toward the ship. 2 days, Lisa answered. We're making final preparations now. 2 days. The Zentari representative's eyes widened. That seems rushed. Jack laughed. We've been rushing since we started. Why stop now? The next day was a blur of activity. The Symphony Core was carefully installed in the Impossible's engine compartment. The ship's systems were checked and rechecked. A crew was selected. Tom would command, with Lisa as science officer and Jack as engineer. The alien delegation watched everything, recording data and sending regular updates to the Galactic Council. More alien ships arrived in Earth orbit, drawn by the historic event. That evening, Tom found Grell standing alone, looking at the nearly completed ship. Something on your mind, Ambassador? Tom asked. Many things, Grell admitted. When your species joined the Council, we thought it would be centuries before you caught up technologically. Yet here you are, about to leap ahead of us all. Not in everything, Tom said. We still have a lot to learn about many fields. True. But this? Grell gestured at the ship. This changes the galaxy. Fast interstellar travel without massive energy requirements. Every power structure, every alliance, every trade route will be affected. Change isn't always bad, Tom suggested. No, Grell agreed, but it is always frightening. The morning of the test arrived clear and cold. The Impossible gleamed in the early light, its hull a patchwork of Earth materials and alien components. It wasn't pretty by any standard, practical rather than beautiful, function over form. She looks like she was built in someone's garage, Jack commented as the crew prepared to board. She basically was, Lisa replied. A crowd had gathered to witness the event. Scientists, government officials, media, and curious onlookers kept at a safe distance. The alien delegation had a special observation area, equipped with their own monitoring devices. Inside the ship, Tom, Lisa, and Jack took their positions. 2 other crew members, navigation and communication specialists, completed the team. All systems online, Jack reported. Symphony Core is stable and ready. Navigation systems ready, the navigator called. Communications established with mission control, added the communications officer. Tom took a deep breath. This is Captain Reed of the Earth ship Impossible. We are commencing final countdown for the first antimatter field propulsion test. Outside, Grell and Vorn watched intently as the ship powered up. The hull began to glow with a soft blue light, the visible effect of the Symphony Core activating. 10 seconds to drive activation. Tom's voice came over the speakers. Vorn leaned toward Grell. Their design is irregular. The field harmonics are not perfectly balanced. Yet it works, Grell replied simply. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Activate. The blue glow intensified. For a moment, nothing else happened. Then, with a sound like a gentle sigh, the Impossible rose from its moorings. It hovered 10 meters above the ground, perfectly stable. Initial test successful, Tom reported, his voice tight with controlled excitement. Moving to Phase 2. The ship began to move horizontally, slowly at first, then with increasing speed. It circled the shipyard once, then climbed higher into the sky. We have full maneuverability, Tom announced. All systems functioning within parameters. We are proceeding to low orbit for full speed testing. The crowd cheered as the Impossible rose higher, eventually disappearing from view. On screens around the shipyard, they could see the ship's progress as it climbed toward space. Remarkable, Vorn admitted. Simply remarkable. Grell turned to his fellow aliens. I believe we are witnessing the beginning of a new era in galactic history, and it has come from the most unlikely source. The Symphony Core is performing perfectly. Lisa's voice reported from the ship. Power efficiency is even better than our projections. We could reach Alpha Centauri in days rather than years. The implications of her words hit everyone present. Humanity had just changed the rules of space travel forever. The impossible, Grell said quietly, has become possible. 2 weeks after the successful test flight of the impossible, Earth had become the center of galactic attention. Ships from dozens of alien civilizations filled Earth orbit, some coming from so far away that they had been traveling for months just to witness the human achievement firsthand. The Galactic Council had called an emergency session to discuss the implications of the new technology. For the first time, it was being held on Earth, in a large conference center in Geneva that had been quickly modified to accommodate the various environmental needs of the alien representatives. Tom Reed stood at the window of his hotel room, looking out at the city where alien visitors now walked freely among humans. It was a strange new world, changed completely in less than a year. "Ready for your speech?" Lisa Wilson asked, joining him at the window. Tom adjusted his formal uniform. "As ready as I'll ever be." "Did Jack finish the modifications?" "Just this morning. The Symphony core is now 30% more efficient and twice as stable. He says we could reach the edge of the galaxy in months instead of centuries." Tom shook his head in amazement. "It's hard to believe how far we've come so quickly. And it's only the beginning," Lisa said with a smile. The council chamber was packed. Hundreds of alien representatives sat in tiered seats around a central speaking area. Humans were present too. Scientists, government officials, and the crew of the Impossible. Ambassador Grell called the session to order. "Representatives of the galactic community, we are gathered here to discuss the most significant technological breakthrough in the last 1,000 years. The human antimatter containment field technology has been verified by our best scientists. It works, despite all our previous beliefs that such a thing was impossible." Science Director Vorn took the floor next. "My initial skepticism has been proven wrong. After extensive testing, we confirm that the human Symphony core design achieves what no other approach has managed. It is not merely a theoretical achievement, but a practical technology ready for implementation." Murmurs spread through the chamber. A tall representative from a distant empire stood up. "The question now is what happens to this technology. Will Earth share it? Keep it for themselves? Sell it to the highest bidders?" All eyes turned to the human delegation. The United Earth president rose and approached the center of the chamber. "Earth has discussed this matter extensively. We are proud of what our scientists have accomplished, but we recognize that this technology could change the balance of power throughout the galaxy if handled poorly." The chamber fell silent, every alien representative leaning forward slightly. "Therefore, we propose the formation of a galactic technology exchange. Earth will share the Symphony core technology with all council members, with 2 conditions. First, it cannot be used for weapons. Second, all species must contribute their own technological breakthroughs to the exchange." Shocked whispers filled the room. Such open sharing of advanced technology was almost unheard of in galactic politics. "This is unexpected," Grell admitted. "Most species guard their technological advantages carefully." "We see things differently," the president explained. "Earth is still young compared to many of your civilizations. We have much to learn. By creating this exchange, everyone benefits. The galaxy becomes more connected, more cooperative. And Earth gets access to all our technologies in return," noted the Zentari representative. "Yes," the president acknowledged. "It's a fair trade. We offer perhaps the most significant breakthrough in propulsion technology in a millennium. In exchange, we can learn from your thousands of years of advancement in other areas." The council chamber buzzed with discussion. Some representatives were clearly excited by the proposal, others suspicious, many simply calculating the benefits and drawbacks for their own civilizations. While the politicians debated, Tom slipped out of the chamber and found a quiet balcony overlooking the city. To his surprise, Grell joined him a few minutes later. "Not interested in the political discussions, Captain Reed?" the alien asked. Tom smiled. "I'm a ship captain and explorer, not a politician. I'll leave the talking to those who enjoy it." "A wise choice," Grell said, The debate may continue for days. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the mix of humans and aliens in the streets below. "I must admit," Grell said finally, "when I first met you, I thought you were simply overconfident. Humans seemed so primitive in many ways. Your technology was basic, your methods chaotic, your approach to science almost childlike in its simplicity." "And now?" Tom asked. "Now I understand that we have much to learn from each other. Your species sees possibilities where we see only established facts. You question what we accept as given. It's refreshing. High praise coming from you, Ambassador." Grell's three eyes blinked in a pattern that Tom had come to recognize as amusement. "Not too high. You still have much to learn about the finer points of galactic civilization." "Fair enough," Tom laughed. The door to the balcony opened, and Lisa hurried out. "Tom, they've reached a decision." "Already? That was fast." "The Council has approved Earth's proposal," she said excitedly. "The Galactic Technology Exchange will be established, with headquarters here on Earth and on 5 other major worlds." Grell's eyes widened. "Remarkable. I expected weeks of debate." "And that's not all," Lisa continued. "The Council has commissioned a new ship, much larger than the Impossible, to make the first official journey using the Symphony Core technology. They want you to command it, Tom." "Me?" Tom was genuinely surprised. "Where would this ship go?" "To the edge of the known galaxy and beyond," Lisa said. "A true exploration mission with a mixed crew, humans and aliens working together." Tom looked at Grell. "Is this your doing, Ambassador?" "I merely suggested that the person who helped make it possible should lead the way," Grell replied. The Council agreed unanimously. 6 months later, the Starship Symphony stood ready in Earth orbit. At 300 meters long, it dwarfed the original Impossible. Its crew of 200 included representatives from 27 different species, with Tom Reed as captain, Lisa Wilson as chief science officer, and Jack Miller as head engineer. On the bridge, Tom sat in the captain's chair, still hardly believing how far they had come. "All systems ready, Captain," Jack reported from engineering. "The Symphony Core is stable and operating at peak efficiency. Navigation has plotted our course to the Andromeda Galaxy," said the Zentari navigator. "Estimated travel time: 2 months. Communication standing by," added a blue-skinned alien officer. "All Council worlds are watching our departure." Tom looked around at the mixed crew. Humans working alongside aliens with mutual respect and shared purpose. A year ago, Earth had been the newcomer, barely noticed by the galactic community. Now they were leading the way into a new era of exploration. "Send a message to all Council worlds," Tom ordered. "The Symphony is ready for her maiden voyage. We go to prove that in this galaxy, nothing is truly impossible, not when we work together." He turned to Lisa, who stood beside his chair. "Ready to make history again, Dr. Wilson?" Lisa smiled. "Always, Captain." Tom faced forward, looking at the stars on the main view screen. "Engage Symphony Drive. Take us beyond the known." The great ship hummed with energy as the Symphony Core activated. The stars on the screen began to blur, and the Symphony leaped forward, carrying representatives of a united galaxy into the unknown. What had once been impossible had become not just possible, but the beginning of a new age for all species, thanks to human determination, creativity, and the willingness to believe in the impossible.